The Twilight Garage podcast is brought to you by The Red Onion, the Bay Area's finest hamburgers, located at 11900 San Pablo Avenue in El Chorrito. Tell them Twilight Garage sent you.
Woo! Love you. Casey, the big case. What do you got for us, kid?
Oh man, we're doing this exciting new series coming up, huh?
I can't believe we're finally going to
I can't
delve
believe
into it.
What a book to hit too.
It is just such a magnum opus. Of course, we're talking about Vincent Bugliosi's book as written by Mr. Gentry, which is a near pattern perfect duplicate of the book he had released previously that no one connected, called
The Late Great State of California.
And it's basically echoed in Helter Skelter, which I found to be one of the most exciting pieces of fictional work. I think the fact that it got foisted off on millions of people, that it is the standalone narrative that still pretty much represents the worldwide opinion
Yes,
of how this case went down,
absolutely.
who the characters are and what their character is. I think it's just a defining watermark piece. I find a lot of issues with it. There's, as you have found, immediately, we're just scraping in the first couple pages in the upcoming episodes.
So we don't know how many episodes we're going to do on Helter Skelter, but we're going to try to do a nice volume, a nice complete work.
It's going to bring everything in with it because you have to triangulate your information. I think you have to use a few different points of view on any one point to really find the reference. And then what we do here is we generally call Deb Silva, if she's not actually on the show, she's definitely in our hearts and in our prayers at all times, but she will definitely find the veracity of the statement for us if we're not able to do it with our own reference material. But that's what's important. And this book to have been foisted off is just an incredible, what a coup. He's a weird dude. If you'll read his history, Tom O'Neill's book really goes into trashing him. Like, it just zestfully ruins the guy. And what an incredible hunk of shit as a human being.
So we're going to take our turn at the old bugs, and we're going to praise him on the stuff that he got right. Mm-hmm. And we're going to shit all over him on the stuff he got wrong.
Well, and for me, as a vindictive, short man complex having asshole, just unworthy feeling person sometimes, I gotta say, fuck yeah for Vince, because if I could have been as dirty, shitty, and ugly as he was to pull this fucking thing off legally and in every other way, I'd have felt good about it with that value system. So, he just felt like a fucking winner.
And Stephen K., don't be jealous, bro, because your buddy wrote a book that's the highest selling true crime book of all time. I mean, you could have done the same thing, man.
Stephen K. from the LA County Prosecutor's Office. Stephen K. from his mother. Yeah, this whole thing is such a spectacle. But we're going to get into some of the rock and roll circus elements that I find absolutely fascinating. The entertainment people that bowed out. Oh, we don't know them. They're hanging out with Canned Heat. They're hanging out with Neil Young, Stephen Stills, all these people in Buffalo, Springfield, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. They meet everybody. Everyone has sex with them. Everyone loves them. They're apparently a jovial, fun, exciting group of people with a neat edge. Charlie's the Wizard. It's just wild on one hand. And then we bring it back down to the book. It's so all-encompassing. Thank you for your patience. Thanks for tuning in. I'm just getting so excited. You can go any direction with it. And then people want to argue with it. Survivors. No, that's not how it was. But what a great.
I love you, Twilighters. Stay tuned.
What a great thing. the thankfulness, humbled by gratitude, though the likes are disappointing as a YouTuber, though the subscriptions don't reflect the views. We are so grateful to be here. Are we not? Big Casey Fields.
Very thankful for all you Twilighters. Beautiful group of people. Thank you for your community.
It's just really seriously a wonderful, wonderful thing to be a part of, to, for me, have dreams the way I've had dreams my entire life, and to apply them to more of a group situation like this. I am naturally adverse to doing that because group situations, you get more than 2 people in a room, you're going to have a goddamn issue. Somebody's going to plot. There's always that whole, you know what I'm saying? 3 can keep a secret if 2 are dead. Thomas Jefferson, famous words. So for me, watching people attach themselves in a mollusk-like fashion to the Manson saga, oftentimes to Charles Manson himself, which to me as a person in the time when he was alive, I never understood. You got this dude in a cage, leave him the fuck alone. You want to send him some fucking commissary, send him some goddamn commissary, but leave this dude alone. You're not who you were. You're not at Spawn Ranch. The titties aren't out and flowing. Life isn't fucking beautiful anymore. Shit is nasty. You're a warrior. You're trying to stay alive. It's a very racial situation. So we're coming out of Twilighters who've joined us today. Thank you so much. Bobby Bosley, number 4. Man, I am hitting on this piece here that you gifted me last time we met.
John Gilmore.
Garbage People, never read it, partially because of the name, and I just thought it was going to be another Dune Buggy. What the title still is it Dune Buggy Army? What the fuck is it?
Yep.
It's the family. I've got it right here.
Battalion. Yep.
Dune Buggy Attack Battalion. That's what it is. Dude, I'm from Ridgecrest, California, home of Dune Buggy Attack Battalion fantasies from day one. First thing you play as a kid out there is Rommel. You're the desert fox. Come on, Neil. What did we used to say to ourselves and everyone else when we were fighting to be tough, right? My men can eat gut. My tanks need gas.
That's real life Mad Max, huh?
Dude, that's the shit.
Out
That's
there.
Erwin Rommel. And then so you've got the Bosley fantasies, you got all these things intertwining. We're taking a break on Bobby. He's not over. What I realized is, especially with this book, man, what a beautiful, nuanced picture of some people wrapped in the, the normal mess. You got to you really have to unravel some of the trash. But as our good buddy, Stoner.
Yeah.
Hey, man. I was here in the trailer the other day. Loving my game birds, right? Stoner will say some things on occasion. This is why, for you people who want to dismiss Stoner, I did it first. It's pretty easy to do. And then you get to know the guy and you see there's these nuances. Now, I love people like this who they tolerate your ability to accept people as they are, and they reinforce at least my tolerance level, because I think we have problems with other individuals when we try them on. That's why this case makes us grossed out. By reading Tex Watson's autobiography, I'm not going to become Tex Watson. Yeah. I'm not going to onboard Tex Watson. But I've never read it because it fucking grosses me out.
Mm-hmm.
But this whole community is really helping me change that. So back to Stoner, he's got some really great notions, right? I don't like a lot of what I read in here, but there are some great original quotes from Charlie. Well, the veracity of which can be backed up sometimes
There you go.
Through my favorite book, and you'll see mine. I just opened to any page, right? And it's biblical for me. Lynette Redfromy's book Reflections. Peas and All Press. Thank you so much, George Stimson, writer of the counterpart of this book, the ever classic, the bedrock of this research community. Like it, dislike it, whatever your opinion is on Vincent Bugliosi. Some people say Bugliosi.
He made a big deal about that, right? Saying the G is silent.
Right. I think we in the Manson research community must include the G.
It's fun to call him the bug, though.
The bugger. Even every rookie, like you can tell somebody who's new to a Manson chat forum, everything they say is according to bugs. They always love to push some new thing around, some catchword. Anyhow, this is the bedrock of all research because, as even Charles Manson himself said, who had the most to lose, the most potential beef with anyone in the universe, the person who made him out to be Adolf Hitler #2, followed closely by Lynette Fromy's extreme evil devotion to her Hitlerian, messianic, bloodthirsty cult leader, Charles Manson. So that being said, these 3 books can be used to cross-reference one another to potentially come to an opinion on a book that I wouldn't have normally read.
It's an outlier for sure.
And the thing being, I wouldn't have taken it in. I wouldn't have given it the time of day had I not discussed basic research techniques. You know, Deb Silva tells you about basic research techniques. It can go over your head. You're out there with Stoner, man. No! And he lays it out. It's real simple. You could use your base as Nick Shrek. You could use your base as whatever. You need 3 things, obviously, to triangulate. So for me, Mama always has the answers. You want to know what really happened? Come on, there it is. She cannot lie. This woman cannot lie. She'll go all the way to make the gestures. Thought Charlie may have had some cancer. Can just bust out of federal prison and do what, bro?
Yeah, what?
Who knows? So then we get back to this, right? A lot of people have a problem with the book because it was basically used to slam dunk Charles Manson. Why? I have this huge windup that I apologize for, much like the entire first episode. Oh my God, people are going back and watching that. I'm so sorry, you guys. I had so much to explain, I thought. Well, this one here, people have big beef with this book, but I really, truly believe I went back and read it only recently because I was being proud. I was one of those people who are like, I'm not going to have this change my research. But everything, even George Stimson and everyone, it goes back to that. Charles Manson himself said, hey, names, dates, places.
If you only read one book on the case, that's the one to read, honestly. Helter Skelter.
I hate to admit that.
I tear it apart. There's
Constantly.
some mistakes throughout it. There's lies throughout it, but yet it's the foundation. It's
the conversation. Because if you look, let's look at it in the context of time. And we've done that here. And I'm going to apologize, Twilighters. We're going to get a little bit more professional on the show and quit making things so topical and of the winter of 2025 coming into the spring. We're going to get a little bit away from the personalities because we've been having fun with it. But this is the bedrock of some research. And so we're going to take things in the context of time. So this is approximately 50 years previous to this podcast being recorded with our great master, our partner, our bedrock friend,
stud,
Mr. Alex Moreno. No matter how much you think you know about the Manson case, comma, this incredible book will shock you. Now, for the first time, we have the answers. Helter Skelter. So, just for its time, that's all there is, all there was. So, almost every single documentary made up until this point, and I will give that to the Peacock broadcast of recent discussion. Our dear friend James Dawson.
And also the one coming out soon, the Tom O'Neill Chaos.
That's
heavily it dives deep into Helter Skelter.
Correct. And doesn't matter the take on it. Even him, big enemy, allegedly, culturally, spiritually, ethically, legally, in every single way of Vincent Bugliosi, Tom O'Neill, whose book, great binding, great cover, great marketing, great everything, chaos. Not a big fan of the contents in terms of realistic portrayal. Every survivor I know refutes it. My thing is, you don't leave an asset that valuable alive. So the book is a very interesting piece of fiction, as I feel are some of the others. But this one here, again, hurt some certain people. I think using cross narratives of these two, right? Very natural stories being told. It's a great way to then be able to introduce a third narrative. So with that being said, taking a break on our dear boy, Mr. Bobby Beausoleil, and we're going to wind up for the transition period, I'm hoping, of the beginning of this watershed. And now, I mean, having reread it as a child who read it, I think almost exactly 50 years ago, having, picked it up and started that first page, I remembered almost every single word, having read it the last time later, so a second time in 8th grade. But the first time, so 75.
Oh, right when it came out.
Yeah, so I was about 7, right? And so that would put me in 2nd grade.
Very cool. For me, it was 2002. I was in college down in LA.
Oh, cool.
And then, just picking it up now for a second time and enjoying it. Obviously, in the process of writing the book, I've had to consult it several times, quote it as well. But
it's easier with the book. I have to say it. I was so prideful and vain. You know what I mean? Because I'm a huge Lynn fan. I love Cappy. I love all the ladies because as a punk rocker living and growing up, having been born in Ridgecrest, California, and seeing them there locally, we're wearing crazy hair that can be reversed. We're wearing wild clothes that can be removed. And they are proceeding through normal life with X's carved in their foreheads. And I realized how little my appearance and trying to be radical on the exterior meant. That these women were taking the spirit that I thought I was running with and were much more hardcore with it. I hadn't done the research on Cappy. I didn't understand the girls on the corner fully, other than these haunting, scary images, because the scale of these pictures, like for me, the book happened to open right here. I was looking for photos, but to see my hometown on a map for the first time anywhere, even as a young child, 7 years old, I'm living in Texas part of the time. How do I explain where I live? I tell people I live in a town in California you've never heard of. They're like, do you surf, bro? I'm like, dude, I live in the desert. They're like,
the desert?
Do you have a camel, bro? All right. So to have it front and center in a book was incredible. but I didn't have pictures of these people beyond this book. So I'm just going to flip to a couple of these women I'm talking about
I
as
saw
we
you
speak.
skip right past that one.
Well, we got our friends.
Oh, that's
So,
a horrible picture, Nancy.
yeah, but look how they made everyone look. It was just so grubby and dirty and Gypsy. Like, I felt so bad for Gypsy just in these photos, but the scale of them being so small, Cappy's, scab on her face, the way the domes looked so haunting and possessed and evil, like they were just satanic monks or something. And it was worse that they were girls in some way.
That's what makes it more, I guess, disturbing, I think.
Compelling, absolutely, because this could be your daughter. And that's the thing. Nothing gets anybody more steamed up than protecting their daughters. And as a father of a young girl, man, say something about that and there'll be a problem.
It's the dad's worst nightmare, right? Is their daughter bringing home some creep?
Well, these people earned it. And if you look at the rhetoric, again, this is all very simple truth. Charles Manson, pimp, hustler, jailbird, whatever. What he said in his testimony, incredible as it was that they did not mount a defense. We'll get into that later. That's one of the most incredible things in American legal history. Incredible. But again, this diatribe being, let's get into Bobby Beausoleil has been taken into custody. You have these very committed, very beautiful, very intelligent, articulate young women at this place we affectionately call the ranch. And to not confuse ranches, we mean Spawn's Movie Ranch in Chatsworth, California, not the Barker or Myers Ranch. So Bobby has been taken into custody. He calls the ranch. Now, that's on the payphone, I'm guessing?
Yeah, they got that payphone that's out on the boardwalk. There's two phones on the property, one in George's house, the other's on the boardwalk at the very end, close to where the corral is. Yeah.
Right. So picks up the phone. They get the news. Now we've got 4 succulent ladies who have been impregnated by one of the most beautiful men roving around those beautiful brushy canyons with those dusky trees and those twilights that would just make a maiden's heart melt. Here he comes, riding down in his unicorn with his teepee and his French survivor girlfriend fiddle playing. Can you just see her riding side saddle playing the fiddle on some mystical beast? We're talking, of course, about Ms. Gypsy, aka
Catherine Scher.
my girl. You've got a little affection for her as a more senior woman.
I like Gypsy. She was talented. I like her music. She's wild though. Wild girl.
Very free spirited. So here comes beautiful Bobby Beausoleil. The things that have occurred, we already discussed. Unfortunate chain of events. Could not negotiate his way out of this thing. Could not find a way to navigate the bikers' relationship, perhaps. Have there be a compromise? Because, I think up until the Tex Watson induced violence with Bernard Crowe, there had been no incidents of outward violence perpetrated by Charles Manson. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, not that we know of. You're right.
So that being said, I think the stress of Charles Manson's loved ones, the dwellers at the ranch, having been verbally threatened on the phone by an unknown force, Now it's oft stated again in Vince's book. Ooh, see how I did that? I made myself like a contemporary. I called him Vince.
I think a lot of the family members started to feel a tension in late 68 going into that winter time. They were out in the desert, and then that was kind of a failure. They moved back out to the
well, they
Gresham
and then they
Street house.
dumped the two losers.
Yeah. So there was some major transition from locations going on. There's some family members that are coming in and out. Tex was out at that time.
Right. He had bailed. Now
Yep.
tell us about that a little bit, just for a second.
Tex was living with his old buddy from college, his roommate, David Neal, who he gives a different name to in his book. But David and his brother had an apartment in Pasadena. And then later him and Tex lived in Silver Lake. They lived in Laurel Canyon, actually not too far away from a couple other very famous locations. The Wonderland Murders.
Wonderland Murders. I was just going to say that comes right up. You got to wonder, is John Holmes somehow the prodigal cousin of Donkey Dick DiCarlo?
I was looking that up the other day because a friend of mine, shout out Rosie, she runs a group on Wonderland.
Rosie!
She was asking me how far away Tex's house was from the Wonderland residence. It was on the same street, but it was about a third of a mile away.
Right. And here's the thing. We're talking in spiritual terms. And when we say late 68, there was a cold chill that came over the Manson family in late 68. Bro, White Album had just come out. It was always my favorite record because as a child spending money on records, I loved double albums. Records were $4.99 to maybe $6.99, usually about $5.99, single disc. You get two records, $7.99, maybe $8.99. New release, $8.99. So we've got a Beatles record admirably holding its value, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
In 1981. So 13 years after its release, I buy it, still own it. White copy. I love it. White on white. Capital.
Is that
labels.
the one with the apple in the center?
No, mine it was a reissue with the original maroon Capital labels with the silver print.
Yep.
Kept it. Love it. I've got a million different varieties of the album. And as I think the band Red Cross and McDonald Brothers said, a lot of the staying powers of this murder, some of it is it being wrapped into the music, primarily that record. But
that record came out in what, November of 68?
Correct. And so you have a chill, I believe, that came over the culture of youth in America. Also, like where we're at now, you've got the right wing saying, in Merle Haggard's words, and when you step on the flag, buddy, you know what I mean? To cross these lines, you're on the fighting side of me. And there was Sonny Barger, right? Came out, I'm gonna volunteer.
Hell's Angels leader.
A crack team of commando assault unit from the Hells Angels of Oakland. It was a very vain, weird statement, but they're very John Birch. So you had a big split in the culture. That's why I think it's funny. I think if Danny DiCarlo had not been so driven by his penis and drugs and dropping out, he was really very right wing. If you look at his whole family and lifestyle, Danny, your brother Dennis, up in God dang Oregon. We hope to hear from you at some point.
That's right, man.
Love and respect. Love and respect. But I think to the point, everyone was going through this, and that's where the guns came from. That's where the change in the attitude came from, because it's across the board. When there's an escalation, what do groups do? Match the energy, or what happens? You get left behind.
I think Bobby showed up out of nowhere. I'm sorry, not Bobby. Danny DiCarlo.
Right.
He showed up out of nowhere in like April 69. And he had
what a change.
You know, and
What a change.
Formerly in the Coast Guard, weapon and munitions guy, very skilled with weapons, knew about building out guns. His dad was worked at a factory in LA building guns that were being used in Vietnam. So all of a sudden, this guy comes out of nowhere,
lot of
shows up at the
testosterone.
ranch, and he's working on cars. He's providing weapons for them.
Right, exactly. A lot of mechanical input and knowledge. So he's got this very visceral, old school knowledge, very salt of the earth, that apparently appealed very much to our girl Leslie and Ms. Ruth Ann. So two of the finest fillies in terms of Manson fan lust projections, right? If we do the lust projection sphere on the Manson family, those two girls are at the top. Who'd they go for? The visceral, greasy, bald biker guy, right?
Donkey Dan.
Ladies. So that was very useful to the circle. You've got Tex, you've got these different people, you've got this excitement, this involvement, this big escalation, chrome, leather. I don't want to say fascistic, but hey, man, the oil's got to come from somewhere, right? So you're definitely, don't stop the pipeline, don't stop any bullshit. The family's making money off the Vietnam War.
What's that aesthetic before the 60s where Donkey Dan would like roll the sleeves?
Oh, beatnik.
Yeah, like white t-shirt, rolled sleeves, tucked in though with the dark jeans.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's the whole rocker. You had your hair up in a jelly roll. Hair was actually long. Yeah, you got your pack of Lucky Strikes, your tight ass 501s. You were ready to rumble. Mm-hmm. Made very famous in the wonderful book, The Outsiders. Mm. That was a great one. And man, Susie really nailed that. It was a woman who wrote that book, 16 years old, in college in Oklahoma. The Outsiders house is still there, being run by a wonderful guy, Danny Boy, who I'd love to have on the podcast at some time. Of course, founding member, most famously for House of Pain. I don't know if he likes that anymore. I don't know, but I don't think he needs that anymore. I think his love for Susie and the house and the whole thing, it just speaks for itself. Love you guys here. And I, again, want to get back to the stress around the ranch. These are young people, anywhere from their mid-teens, which I think was the minority. Mm. I think everyone was on average was about 20.
Yeah, that's a good measure there.
And then how many people do you feel are on the ranch week of the murders?
20. I mean, not really on the ranch because somewhere in Devil's Canyon, right?
Yeah, just
there's like a handful that are.
But I mean, that are committed to the group
around
that aren't living at home and visiting. I mean, the ones that are spending the night there, right, more than not.
Yeah, and then you had
more than 4 nights a week.
A couple that were away, obviously, right? Beausoleil was gone. Mary and Sandy were at Civil Brand at that time. So the next week when the raid happened, there were a little bit more. It was like 25 to maybe 30.
Right. I think it was like the official, I guessed it 27. And then I think James corrected it. And it wound up being maybe low 30s. Again, shout out to our dear friend, Mr. James Dawson. I fantasize him about being a great South American despot in the making. Truly, he is a really, really, really great man. Developing some medical clinics and doing a lot of beautiful, beautiful charity work and different things as it's referred to here. We know it is altruistic love from the heart.
Yeah, shout out James, leaving a legacy down there in Argentina.
We love you very, very much. Asante to your health, my friend. So that being said, we are very grateful for Ivan Pooh, for his father's sacrifices. May he be getting released. Who we're talking about now, Mr. Bobby Beausoleil, who's come back to the ranch. Things are different. Charlie's in transit because I believe, this is just me, I'm not trying to hang anyone out to dry, hurt any survivors' feelings or anything like that, but Charlie knew what was up because I think some of what was said makes sense. Girls got it in their head. Which girls? You can speculate on. Charlie has said red, blue, gold
Nancy, yep.
were the ones who some have said it came from the detective magazine, the copycat killer idea. I mean, who
Or a
knows?
TV show, who knows,
Dude.
right?
They're watching combat. Like, I love Nancy's face. Y'all, we're speaking to you as very advanced customers. You didn't fall off the bumpkin tree. We're not over here saying, hello, Helter Skelter, murder by numbers. We assume you've read everything and you have an opinion on this. So you've seen the Hendrickson film. And then we've got Nancy in her vest, just like acting all just crabby kill cakes, right? What would you call her? Connie Kill Cakes.
Rocking that sweet hairdo, huh?
Dude, because it was growing out.
She had like a rat tail.
Oh, dude, just such a repugnant situation. And just going off. Like, what was the craziest shit she said in that diatribe to you?
Well, it's all written by Lawrence Merrick and Robert Hendrickson, right? No, I don't know. They were
it
saying,
was, dude, a lot of it.
Yeah, that's why I need to check out your book, Death to Pigs.
We will haul that off the show. I love that book so much because it really helped me understand red, gold, blue. Came up with this concept. These other people were involved. The thing stuck to them. I feel like Linda Kasabian was fueling the whole thing.
Hell yeah.
Oh, these motherfuckers. And the deal is, look at what they fantasized about. People like, I was watching, who's the dude? Grim Collective.
Yes. Great YouTube channel.
What a fun, cool dude. Like, I've seen
I like it.
I always made weird associations with him and would always fuck up his name. Sorry for my language, y'all, but
he's cool. His girl is cool too.
Yeah. What a neat, supportive little relation. Not little, but just because there's two people, right? I guess we would be called little as well. Stop it. They seem to have a really neat relationship, very supportive, cool people. He seems to be very neutral, very interested.
Yep.
Very sincere. I love that he went to the, he's got like a speech impediment or whatever. So he went to the squeaky pole. He talked about the squeaky pole.
Oh, I didn't see that episode.
That's been in my feed recently.
Yeah.
It was from 2022. Grim Collective, God bless you.
I love their intro. Their episode where they interviewed Shelley Duvall. Very cool.
Yeah, I guess she has become friends with one of the other hosts of these podcasts like that. His name may or may not come to me because I was researching the Errol Flynn house because we used to go up there when we were kids. And it was Rick Nelson who owned it near the end. We saw him near his death. The great, of course, everyone's name pops when you have lights on you, right? Oh my God. That's why if you watch some of these podcasts, everything's cut.
With no cuts here.
Well, that's why I love having the clock. No cuts. No cuts. James Intveld, wonderful, wonderful musician, singer, gets not enough credit as a guitar player. It's like with Dolly Parton, forgotten more on the guitar, smoother than owl shit, forgotten more than most people will ever know. Beautiful singer, gets called rockabilly because he's done a lot of rockabilly, but his brother, also physically beautiful. They were just beautiful men. Like, oh my God. But his brother was like Stevie Ray Vaughan. He was a little more. You want to know why? His beautiful brother, James, had loved him up. Right? And he was a shining star coming up, paying his dues with Rick Nelson, who was flying around in this old famous DC-3 owned by another celebrity. They crashed and died, bro. And that's how he lost his life. Just incredible.
Was this a Buddy Holly? What was this?
This was Rick Nelson
Yeah.
of Ozzy and Harriet fame. James Infelt, beautiful guitar player. His brother was Rick Nelson's guitar player. We saw them when they came to Ridgecrest because not a lot of shows come. My goodness. What they were playing, the band, it was so good. In this weird little metal building, the Indian Wells Valley Fairground is where they played, you know, and shortly thereafter he was dead. I just couldn't.
Wow.
So researching this, these podcasters have really been great. That's why we're giving some shout outs. They've all come back to Shelley Duvall. She had a million stories. Errol Flynn dating all these different people, all these stories about men because she was super sexy and cool. We always see her as later like a joke, like boo boo, kind of a tub of lard. But dude, she was really pretty fascinating broad.
There's another one that's similar to Grim Life Collective that I like. Creepy Crawling with Sobert. Have you ever seen that?
Again, I'm terrible with the names, but I've seen a couple of those episodes.
He's a guy, you'll see him. He visits Spawn Ranch and a bunch of areas and does some hiking. Pretty cool guy.
A lot of people don't get it terrible. And that's what I like. Because some of these people, you know, they'll just do the strangest things for some likes or views or clicks that just don't add up to the story. And for us, I have to admit, I see how the ego, how the lust gets involved in this. And that's why we try to keep this more spiritually based, where I try to have a greater accountability because there's a lust for likes. No, dude, like I got 5 likes on the last video and it's I. And there's no I, there's Alex, there's you, there's the whole thing, the history of this leading up.
1 like for each of us.
Right, but it's like, oh my goodness, I guess I'm saying like. But I see everyone who came before us, even people who don't like us.
Absolutely.
You know, TLB radio, what do they call us? Those 2 fucking losers over there. Whatever the fuck it is they're doing. Casey Fields. Like, I couldn't have been more flattered. Why? Because like or dislike the guy, he invested time, knowledge, and part of himself into this.
Absolutely.
The motives don't add up to me. Either you can explain some of Charles Manson and make your peace with them, or you don't talk about this case. To just run around and whack some bearded little pimp, pedophile pimp, blah, blah. Like, come on. That's your spiel, but like, brother, fuck, we're not apologists. 9 people that we're aware of got like, dude, none of these were cool. I mean, the alleged killing of the first one, Bernard Crowe allegedly getting killed by Charlie. Charlie thought he killed him.
He thought he did.
It was up close and personal, but when you shoot somebody, it's pretty clean. I've shot people. It's not that big of a deal. You stab people, brother? Oh, man.
There are people that don't even believe that he shot him, that it was a blank.
It could have been, dude. He's going, yeah! I don't know, dude. I've been scared. I've been shot and didn't know I got shot. Swear. Like 4 holes in my body. Didn't even get it that I'd been shot. Like no concept. I didn't even know I'd been shot for like minutes. And then, oh, dude, anyhow. But the stabbing, oh, you know all about it. My brother, he left me that alone. I love my brother now, but he still won't play with me. No, I stabbed him with a really shitty serrated cheap ass steak knife when we were kids. You know, one time because he was
gonna go great on YouTube, man.
Oh no, sorry, I didn't say that. I meant whatever. I'd experienced some difficulties as a youth. But my brother is a wonderful guy, but that stuff sticks with you. I couldn't imagine. So we're not apologizing for that. We know poor Stephen Parent. everybody, these people who didn't deserve any kind of anything because of this movement. But I think it's wild. We're gonna get ready for episode 19, leaving it with the thoughts that someone I respect, love, and admire personally, as a friend, as a hero, as a compatriot, as someone I've spent a lot of good time with. Did I spill my drink over? I was having a bet with myself how long it'd take. They plotted on some bad shit, bro.
I did something this week that I never thought I would do. She probably never thought I would do it either.
What's up?
I joined a book club online. Shout out on YouTube to Danny After Dark's book club.
Oh, she has a book club?
Yeah. This month they're reading In Cold Blood.
Ooh, no way.
So if you
that one, Truman Capote,
yep,
is that's the Badlands thing with the
so
the little shitty kid with the he walked like a he had like the
if
whole,
you're interested in joining a good true crime book club,
no shit.
There you go. Type into Facebook groups, Danny After Dark Book Club.
Danny. So good Lord, because she's missed true crime.
Hopefully she doesn't kick me out. But
why would she kick you out?
I think I'm gonna enjoy being in there.
I'm ignorant, dude. I don't know why she would kick you out. But anyhow, seems like ladies, I have to, as a tattooer, we used to call women broads. I guess that's not a thing. I was like, bro, you always got a problem with the broads in this world, Casey. But that being said, Mercy, that kid was wild. The redheaded kid, all stumpy. He had a speech impediment. He had like an intellectual impediment. That's one of the other cases I'm fascinated by. Now, just back to Danny. So have they discussed it? They had the live spiel on it?
No, it's just the book of the month for March. And so her followers are going to be reading it and they're probably going to be discussing it on the show. So
I'm going to sign up for that. Do you know? Because I love that case. That's something. Let's get into that now. Or would you go down that? Seriously, would you go down the road with me on that? A really horrific killer who ruined his like poor little amorous girl's life, had her life just destroyed. She served like God most of her life in prison for some shit she didn't do. Witness to the most horrific shit ever, and just put through a witch trial. It's a fascinating story, and it all happened in like horrible frozen fucking. Oh, dude. Anyway, let us get back to.
We're gonna close this one out tonight.
Loving our reference materials, appreciating everyone, even though they might like us personally who went before us. We appreciate the lineage. We thank you again for spending your very existence with us. Now, can you give us some sort of blessing or invocation for things that you've been thinking about?
A lot of people going through stress out there politically, right? Just make sure to stay grounded and keep focused on what's important, right? Your family, your faith, and man, bless you all. Appreciate you guys. We love our Twilighters. Please share the show with your friends. Let's try to get this audience growing so that we can do more great things in the future.
That is really what it's about. Alex and I have been plotting on some real special things that come on, dude, throw us some bones so we can get it done. The gratitude is through the roof to be able to acknowledge survivors, to be able to do this in good taste and be at your very service. I and Casey and Alex are very grateful. Thank you. And that's the way it was on Twilight Garage in the year our Lord 2025.